Have you ever woken up feeling like your legs were made of stone? The aching knees, the stiff ankles, the strange soreness in your calves. And yet, you did everything right. You stayed active, you ate a healthy breakfast, maybe some eggs, a piece of toast, a little fruit. So why does your body still whisper pain every morning? Here's the hard truth no one talks about. After 60, it's not just what you eat, it's what you combine. That comforting breakfast you've trusted for decades might be the very reason you're moving slower, hurting more, and wondering why life feels heavier than it should. Because food isn't just fuel, it's a messenger, and the wrong combinations can quietly spark inflammation in your joints, swelling in your legs, and a slow erosion of your mobility. Eggs may be healthy, but paired with the wrong foods, they can become silent thieves of strength. If you're tired of the mystery pain, if you want your body to work for you, not against you, this might be the most important story you hear today. If you're with me so far, type number 1 in the comments to let me know you're here. And sometimes, the most dangerous habits are the ones that feel the most familiar. Think about that warm, golden slice of toast you've been enjoying for years. The bagel that reminds you of Sunday mornings. The soft muffin beside your coffee. Gentle, comforting, reliable. For many of us, refined carbohydrates are not just food. They're routine, memory, stability. But as our bodies change, so must our understanding of what these foods are really doing, especially when they're paired with eggs. White bread, bagels, and muffins are stripped of their natural fiber and nutrients, making them digest quickly and spike your blood sugar soon after eating. For a younger body, that spike might pass unnoticed. But for older adults, those rapid blood sugar shifts signal alarm. Your immune system responds as if under attack, sending out inflammatory messengers to protect you. Over time, this chronic low-level inflammation begins to settle, often in the legs, knees, and feet, where circulation is naturally slower with age. Now imagine starting your day with eggs, a dense source of protein and fat, alongside these quick-burning carbs. It's like asking your digestive system to handle a traffic jam and a flood at the same time. The result? Slower digestion, a heavier gut, and a chemical storm that ends up in your joints. That pain you feel in your feet by evening, the swelling in your knees that wasn't there in the morning. It might not be your age catching up with you. It could be your breakfast speaking in the only language the body knows. Inflammation, stiffness, and fatigue. Many older adults never suspect their morning toast or bagel. After all, it's not sweet, not fried, not indulgent. It's just simple. But that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. The simplicity hides the complexity of how it interacts with your body, especially after 60. And here's the deeper truth. It's not just about preventing discomfort. It's about protecting the energy that lets you do what you love. The strength to walk the dog, the stability to tend your garden, the ease of stepping out without fear. That quiet independence we so often take for granted. If you've ever felt unexpectedly drained after breakfast, or noticed your legs tire too quickly by midday, this part of the story might be hitting home. For those who feel seen in this, who've lived this truth in silence, I invite you to comment with the number 2. But not all danger comes from what's on the plate. Sometimes it hides in what we add to it. A teaspoon of jam, a drizzle of ketchup, a glass of orange juice to brighten the morning. These little touches feel innocent, even deserved. After a lifetime of hard work, isn't a hint of sweetness at breakfast the least we can ask for? But for aging bodies, even the smallest amount of added sugar can set off a chain reaction that lingers far longer than the flavor. As we grow older, our bodies become more sensitive to glucose. The pancreas works harder, insulin becomes less effective, and what used to be a harmless indulgence can now quietly ignite inflammation from the inside out. Sugar molecules attach to proteins in the body, a process called glycation, stiffening soft tissues and damaging cartilage. The result? Slower healing, aching joints, and reduced blood flow, especially in the legs and feet. It's no coincidence that the tingling in your toes, the burning in your calves, or the heaviness in your knees show up long after the sweetness is gone. These aren't random signs of aging. They're messages. Your body is responding, speaking through discomfort, trying to tell you that what once felt comforting is now making things harder than they need to be. Even so-called healthy options, low-fat fruit yogurts, flavored oatmeal, or juice labeled with no added sugar, can carry more hidden sugar than a candy bar. And when combined with eggs, the inflammatory response only intensifies. Eggs are nutrient-dense and take time to digest. Pair them with fast-absorbing sugar, and you create a perfect storm of delayed digestion and prolonged glucose exposure. A combination that leaves your joints inflamed and your legs weak by afternoon. It's not just about cutting sugar. It's about protecting your mornings, your afternoons, your ability to stand, to walk, to enjoy the life you've built. Because what starts as a little jam on toast can slowly chip away at your independence. One ache, one cramp, one slow shuffle at a time. If you've ever rubbed your knees after a sweet breakfast and thought, maybe I'm just getting old, your body may have been trying to say something else entirely. If this feels personal, if you've recognized that something so small can make such a big difference, take a moment to comment with the number 3. Now and then, it's not just sweetness that betrays us. Sometimes, it's the salt and sizzle of nostalgia, the sound of bacon crackling in the pan, the smoky scent of sausage drifting through the kitchen. For many, these aren't just breakfast staples. They're memories. Mornings with family, hearty starts to hard-working days. But as comforting as they seem, these familiar foods may be quietly working against you now, especially when served alongside eggs. Processed meats like bacon, sausage, and ham are packed with sodium nitrates, preservatives, and saturated fats. These ingredients put a heavy burden on your heart, kidneys, and immune system, all of which are naturally more vulnerable with age. What's worse, when you pair these meats with eggs, which contain sulfur compounds, you increase levels of uric acid in the body, a known trigger for joint inflammation and gout-like symptoms. The result? Swelling in the knees, stiffness in the ankles, that burning ache in your big toe that you thought was just old bones acting up. It might actually be breakfast, a beloved habit now turned against your joints. You see, as circulation slows with age, especially in the lower body, inflammation tends to settle in the legs. Add in the high sodium from processed meats, and you've got a recipe for water retention, bloating, and painful pressure that builds silently over time. You may feel fine at first, but by late morning or early afternoon, your knees ache, your calves feel heavy, and you're reaching for the pain relievers without realizing the true culprit is still lingering in your bloodstream. And perhaps most heartbreaking of all, these foods are often seen as a reward, something to look forward to. But for the aging body, that reward might cost more than it gives. It might steal the very mobility you need to stay independent. You don't need to give up the comfort of breakfast, but maybe it's time to rethink what comfort really means. Because real comfort is being able to move without pain, to rise from your chair without wincing, to walk without fear of falling. If you've ever sat down to a classic breakfast and felt fine, only to struggle by midday, your body may already be telling you the truth behind the tradition. If that truth resonates with your experience, I invite you to comment with the number 4. But not every threat to your joints comes loud and obvious. Some arrive warm, creamy, and comforting. Cheese has a way of wrapping itself around our hearts and habits. A sprinkle on scrambled eggs. A slice melted into an omelet. It feels rich, familiar. A small luxury on an ordinary morning. For many older adults, it's the flavor of comfort. But hidden beneath that soft, savory layer is a powerful force that may be fueling the very pain you're trying to ignore. Especially in its processed or melted forms, cheese contains high levels of saturated fat, sodium, artificial additives, and a milk protein called casein. These ingredients are difficult to digest, and for aging bodies, digestion doesn't work like it used to. Gut sensitivity increases, and heavy meals linger longer, often triggering systemic inflammation. When you combine cheese with eggs, both rich and dense, you create a meal that sits heavily in the stomach. The body must work harder to break it down, sending stress signals throughout your digestive and immune systems. And for seniors, that stress often translates into inflammation in the knees, calves, ankles, the very places where you already feel the wear of time. You may notice it not right away, but later in the day, a tightness in the ankles, a subtle throbbing in the knees, or a heaviness in your legs when walking to the mailbox. It's easy to chalk it up to just another day, but your body might be crying out for a change. And what makes this even more dangerous is how harmless it seems. Cheese doesn't scream danger. It whispers. It hides behind its role as a comfort food. But for those already dealing with arthritis, nerve sensitivity, or weakened circulation, that whisper builds into a roar over time. Comfort shouldn't come with a cost, not when it's your freedom, your energy, and your ability to enjoy the little things. Gardening, visiting a friend, walking without fear of pain. And while you may not want to give up cheese completely, learning when and how to enjoy it can be the difference between a painful afternoon and a peaceful one. If you've ever enjoyed a cheesy breakfast and wondered why your legs felt heavy by evening, this message was meant for you. If this sounds like your story or someone you love, go ahead and comment with the number 5. And sometimes, what harms us the most is what we once believed was helping. Decades ago, many of us made a change we thought was smart. We swapped real butter for margarine. The commercials told us it was better for our hearts. Doctors nodded in agreement, so we listened. We spread it on toast, used it to fry our eggs, and felt good knowing we were making a healthier choice. But science has since revealed what time has already shown in our bodies. That choice may have cost us more than we ever imagined. Margarine and artificial butter substitutes are often made with hydrogenated oils, the source of trans fats, which are now widely recognized as harmful. These fats don't just raise bad cholesterol, they disrupt the body's ability to process inflammation, stiffen blood vessels, and damage joint-supporting collagen. For older adults, whose bodies are already working harder to maintain balance, these fats can quietly accelerate pain, stiffness, and circulation problems. And the impact isn't just internal. Over time, you may notice numbness in your feet, aching calves, knees that feel like they're grinding with every step. Symptoms we often blame on just getting older, but which might trace back to the very pan you used to cook breakfast. What's worse, these fats build up quietly, often without warning. You won't feel it after one day, You might not notice it after a week, but month after month, year after year, they take their toll. And when combined with eggs, a food that already requires careful digestion, the inflammation doesn't just rise, it lingers, especially in your lower body where circulation is weakest with age. The tragedy here isn't just the discomfort. It's the fact that so many of us tried to do the right thing. We believed we were protecting ourselves, but now we find ourselves reaching for railings, struggling to get up from chairs, wondering why walking from room to room leaves us so tired. The good news is, you can take that power back. By switching to healthier fats, like olive oil or coconut oil, and removing artificial spreads from your plate, you're not just avoiding harm. You're making room for healing. If you've ever felt like your body is working against you, when all you've done is follow advice, this one likely hits home. If this truth has given you pause, and you feel ready for the next step forward, go ahead and comment with the number 6. Sometimes, it's not just what we cook. It's the tiny, tangy extras we don't even think twice about. A crunchy pickle beside your eggs, a spoonful of sauerkraut with your sausage, maybe a little kimchi or relish for flavor. These bold, briny bites have been part of family tables for generations. They add zip, tradition, and even a sense of health. After all, fermented foods are often praised for gut support. But as with many things in life, what once felt harmless, or even helpful, can turn into something harmful when we least expect it. For seniors, pickled and fermented foods can pose a quiet threat, especially when combined with eggs. Why? It starts with sodium. These foods are preserved in heavy salt and often contain additives meant to extend shelf life. That sodium doesn't just affect blood pressure. It contributes to water retention, tissue swelling, and joint stiffness, particularly in the lower body, where circulation is already weaker with age. What's more, the natural acids and bacteria in fermented foods can disrupt sensitive digestion. For older adults whose gut microbiomes have shifted with time, this disruption can lead to bloating, inflammation, and increased discomfort after meals, especially when the meal includes eggs, which are already dense and slower to digest. You may have noticed it, but not connected the dots. Puffier ankles by mid-morning, a swollen feeling in your legs, or a strange tightness in your knees? It could be your body reacting not just to what you ate, but to what you combined. The salt from the pickle, the richness of the eggs, the slowed digestion. They form the perfect storm inside a system already working overtime. And the emotional side cuts even deeper. Many of these foods are handed-down traditions, recipes from our parents, tastes from our childhood. Giving them up can feel like letting go of memories. But maybe the real act of love, the truest way to honor your past, is to care for the body that's carried you through so much of it. You don't have to erase your traditions, you just have to reshape them, gently, with intention, and with your health in mind. If you've ever finished breakfast feeling fine, only to later wonder why your legs feel like they're carrying twice their weight, this message may be ringing true for you. If you're seeing these patterns in your own life, and you're ready to keep listening to what your body has been trying to say, go ahead and comment with the number 7. And then, there are the foods we've trusted the most. The ones we've always believed were good for us. Tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, eggplants. Vibrant, flavorful, and often praised as staples of a healthy diet. They're tossed into morning omelets, roasted beside eggs, or sliced fresh onto the plate. For many older adults, these vegetables are comfort, color, and tradition. But hidden beneath their wholesome image is a natural chemical that may be quietly aggravating your joints and muscles: solanine. Nightshade vegetables contain solanine, a compound that, in sensitive individuals, especially those over 60, can trigger inflammation, disrupt nerve signals, and worsen symptoms of arthritis. As the kidneys and liver age, their ability to filter and flush out these compounds declines. What once passed through the body without issue now lingers, settles, and begins to irritate the soft tissues, especially in the legs, knees, and feet. You might not notice the effects right away. It might feel like a dull ache in your hips, a stiffness in your ankles when you stand up, or a strange burning sensation in your calves after dinner. Day after day, it builds, silently. And all the while, you're thinking, but I eat healthy. I eat my vegetables. And you do. But your body has changed. And what it can tolerate, what it truly thrives on, has changed too. Even more frustrating is that these veggies often share a plate with eggs. Together, they may seem like a balanced, protein-rich, nutrient-filled meal. But for those with nightshade sensitivity, this combination can become a perfect storm. One that brings more pain than nutrition, more stiffness than strength. And what does that pain cost you? Not just physical discomfort, but the quiet erosion of joy in everyday moments. A walk to the garden, standing at the stove, dancing in the kitchen with a grandchild. The little freedoms we barely notice until they're suddenly hard to reclaim. But knowledge is power. And listening to your body, really listening, is the beginning of healing. If you've ever looked at your plate and felt proud, only to wonder hours later why your body feels like it's fighting you, perhaps it's time to take another look at those healthy ingredients with new eyes. If this reflection has helped you see your meals a little differently, and you're ready to make wiser choices with your plate, I invite you to comment with the number 8. By now, you've seen the truth many never talk about. The most familiar foods, the ones that have comforted us for decades, may be silently working against us. Not because they're bad, but because our bodies have changed. And so must our choices. Eggs, on their own, are still one of the most nourishing foods you can eat. But when paired with processed meats, refined carbs, cheese, sugar, margarine, pickled vegetables, or even nightshades, they can stir up inflammation, stiffness, and pain that seem to come out of nowhere. And yet, this is not a story of loss. It's a story of awareness, of empowerment. Because the moment you recognize how food speaks to your body is the moment you reclaim your right to move freely, to feel strong, and to wake up without dread in your knees or ankles. Your plate is not just a source of calories. It is a tool, a voice, a messenger. And each choice you make can whisper peace or shout pain. So choose wisely. Let your breakfast nourish, not inflame. Let your meals support the life you want to live, not chip away at it one bite at a time. If this story resonated with you or reminded you of someone you care about, please take a moment to like this video, share it with a friend, and subscribe to our channel. Together, we can spread awareness, inspire change, and remind each other that no matter our age, we still hold the power